Hello everyone, I had problem 3 from the expert TA. It states by saying a ball is kicked at ground level with an initial velocity of 19.5 meters per second in the horizontal direction and 10.5 meters per second in the vertical direction. From reading the information above, you should automatically draw out what is being stated above. So I drew out a ball being kicked at ground level with the values for the initial velocity in the horizontal direction and in the vertical direction. So I have my y and my x. So starting off with the first question, A states that at what speed does the ball hit the ground in meters per second? While reading this, you are able to use Pythagorean theorem. This is because you currently have the value of A and you currently have the value of B, but you're looking for C. So you would use the equation C squared equals A squared plus B squared, but C squared cannot be squared. So you would rewrite the equation as C equals the square root of A squared plus B squared, because the square root cancels out the square. Okay, so you would just plug in your numbers. I use 19.5 as my A and 10.5 as my B. So you would have 19.5 squared plus 10.5 squared. You would get a value of 490.5. You would then square root this value and you would get 22.147 meters per second. And rounded, I put 22.15 meters per second. So moving on to the next question, it states that for how long does the ball remain in the air in seconds? So we are looking for time. So we're going to use the equation of V equals V naught plus AT, but you are also solving for Y. So you would rewrite the equation with Y. So it would be Vy equals V naught Y plus AYT. So initially the velocity is 0. So it would be 0 equals 10.5 minus 9.8 t. You would subtract 10.5 from each value. These would cancel out. And so you would then subtract 9.8 from the 10.5, and you would get a value of t equals 1.0714 seconds. But this value would be doubled before the ball actually hits the ground. So you would easily multiply this value by 2 and you would get 2.1428 seconds. Rounded, it would be 2.143 seconds. Moving on to the last question. This is C. It states what maximum height is attained by the ball in meters. So you would use the equation above, V squared equals VO squared plus 2A delta X. But you are still solving for Y. So you would just plug in the Y and your equation. You would get from squaring 10.5, you would get 110.25. So it would be 0 for the velocity equals 110.25 plus 2 times negative 9.8 times delta y. You would then subtract 110.25 from both sides. This would automatically cancel out. This would become a negative. And then you would bring down the rest of the equation and divide both sides by 2 times negative 9.8. This side would cancel and both of these negatives would cancel. Overall, the value you would get for y would be 5.625 meters.